Hey, this is Shanshan. I sell art on shanshan.co. Today we're going to review Avatar, Way of the Water. So this is the Avatar Part 2, and you have Jake Sully and he started a family now that he's pure Avatar, and, or the Navi, obviously the Navatar, the fake one. um, and he's being hunted again by the general that he killed in the last one because his gene memories were saved and put into a new avatar. And so a lot of the enemies that were killed off in the first film were kind of put back in as the warriors in the second film. So that was kind of interesting, a little bit lazy, but, you know, kind of interesting because you like those characters. The general's obviously badass. Sigourney Weaver was kick-ass as well. And so you have a young kind of Sigourney Weaver child. You have the general brought back as a young Na'vi. So that's kind of interesting. And, you know, the general's out for revenge for being killed off. So he's out for Jake Sully's family. And they run away to a little water tribe to kind of hide away and not get caught, you know, from the tree people. And obviously in the tree people before the whole thing was destroyed. So Jake wants to preserve his family and not have the whole tree people sacrificed. Unfortunately, the general tracks him down, and there's a kind of a standoff between the general and Jake and his family, and, you know, back and forth. So pretty interesting storyline, I would say. The question you got to think also in this film, I would say, is it's about 3 hours something, maybe 10 minutes. I usually like an hour and a half. Action films can go 2 hours 15 maybe, but you get after that it's very, very long, so you got to really justify it. It didn't feel long, but I would say it's kind of stretched out the same way Dune felt very stretched out from the 1985 Dune. The Dune was done recently with part 1 and part 2. It's basically the Dune book because I just read the Dune book, so they're kind of just, you know, adding more to the story. Here it's kind of, they've added a really big story with the whole water part of Avatar planet, and so different from the tree people. So you have a little bit of the tree people, so that takes maybe half an hour. And then the rest of the film is on the water world, which is kind of cool to see a new world in Avatar film. You know, you had this back and forth of the family's kidnapped, they're rescued, they're saved, and they're hunted down and captured again. And a little bit too many rescues, I would say. I think you could have cut one of those rescues out possibly in the film. A lot of good dramatic ends. You know, a lot of characters that are dear to your heart die in the film, similar to Avatar 1. So it's going to have a really tearjerker feel once you get towards the end of the film, which I think is good. It makes kind of a film like this very timeless, I would say, and very kind of reaches all audiences. In the audience, you had a couple little kids. Parents brought their kids to see this film because it's very, you know, it's right on the edge of, is it G, is it PG, do you bring your kids? And obviously the kids love Avatar, so they want to go see Avatar Part 2, obviously. So it's kind of cute to hear little kids in the background kind of talking. What's that? Oh, this is this and that and that, you know, and you hear the little kids and you're like, oh, that's really cute. They're really responding with the film. So that's kind of, you know, heartwarming. You know, obviously the great CGI effects. I don't know if it had the same impact as Avatar 1. Avatar 1 had it's the very first time seeing it. You've seen the flying kind of dragon creatures and all that. And now you have flying fish kind of that are kind of like the dragons, but they swim underwater as well. And they have these giant whale-like creatures. So that's really cool. I've done a lot of snorkeling, so I can really identify with how cool the snorkeling world is. And a lot of people don't know about it. It's also a commentary on the modern world kind of destroying the environment, which unfortunately is true. I wish it was just a film, but if you look at the coral reef, it's really suffering with all the plastic that's being dumped in the ocean from a lot of poor countries that really can't afford, you know, really nice trash removal. All their waste just ends up in the rivers, it goes straight into the ocean. It slowly breaks down. We're eating it in our sushi, so it's killing off humans as well. So it's pretty stupid for, you know, the planet Earth, but, you know, unfortunately there's poor parts of the earth that, you know, that's not their first priority. Their first priority is get food in their mouth and feed their families versus care about the environment that, you know, might be damaged in 10, 20 years, right? So unfortunately there's been a little bit of that. I noticed, you know, myself, I've been to Cancun. It's a really great snorkeling area. And from what I've heard recently, there's like a red tide from Brazil, and the fish isn't as strong as it was like in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So it's really sad that that's kind of going away. Hopefully they make some progress, because it's a real shame that, you know, to lose that environment under the ocean, as well as it probably endanger ourselves as far as a food source. Not having that would be really stupid. So I think the film makes a lot of poignant parts here. little bit of kind of your Hollywood leading leading a bit farther away, you know, the good guys versus the bad guys kind of thing, you know. But environmentalism is a real concern, so I think that's a really good cause to have in a film and really bring that up in a really kind of great storytelling way to kind of get people to think about it and hopefully change, you know, politicians' minds. But obviously there's a lot of money to exploit the, you know, the ocean in a bad way. So you know, a lot of the armies and navies that are out they just dump all kind of crap in the ocean, and they dump all their garbage, and they dump like all their toxic waste. And so, you know, a lot of the navies around the world, they're maybe only 1% of the fleets, but they're doing like the worst job ever, just jumping garbage. And poorer countries are probably, their fleets are probably jumping crap in the ocean, like nets. There's actually a dead spot outside of California, between California and Hawaii, where all these nets have gathered up, and there's this huge kind of junk connection, and someone's trying to clean up, but I don't know if they're really going to get a really good feel on that. But hopefully they can catch up with that and make it better before we kill off the oceans. So I'd recommend the film. I think it's one of those films you collect and watch over and over, especially if you have kids. It'd be a really great film to see once a year or so, but even if you don't, it'd be fun. If you like to subscribe, you can subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next movie review. Thanks for watching, guys.